Hey, it's Michelle Hollinger. I'm the author of Sis You're Worth It, 7 Ideas for Manifesting Your Best Life. This amazing book. I love this book. I took dictation. The universe poured it through me. I've written several books. It is by far my favorite because it is life changing. Not just for me, it has changed the lives of a lot of women who have read this book. So, what I decided to do is to offer these 15-minute workshops on each of the ideas, on each of the chapters, right? If you haven't already, I encourage you to go back to the first three chapters, this is, we're on prosperity. Oh, we're on chapter 6. So, the first 5 chapters. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera so that we can focus on the content of these amazing workshops. So we, as I said, we are up to prosperity consciousness. If you haven't already watched the first 5, do yourself a favor and go back and do that, because each idea builds on the preceding idea, and especially the first idea, intentionalizing your thinking. That first workshop does a really good overview of the introduction to the book, which talks about what your best life is and what it isn't, right? So we are up to chapter 6, prosperity consciousness. And though prosperity is not just about money, prosperity is about every single aspect of your life. Prosperity really means well-being. When you are prosperous, you have a wealth of well-being in your health, in your relationships, in every aspect of your life, right? But for the purpose of this book, because we are already touching on those other aspects and other chapters, we're zeroing in on money. We're zeroing in on prosperity consciousness, right? So, prosperity consciousness is a mindset, right? And understanding the power of a prosperous mindset and being able to tap into a prosperous mindset is essential to manifesting your best life. So you can't manifest your best life if you're living paycheck to paycheck. You can't manifest your best life. You know what? Let me qualify that. If you're living from paycheck to paycheck and you are able to meet all of your needs, meet the wants that you have, able to do what you want to do with your life, you can manifest your best life. Let me just qualify that, because there's some people who can navigate that way. It is a situation when you can't do what you want to do because you don't have enough money. It is a situation if you are going to a job you hate because it pays you a nice salary. That's when prosperity is not in full effect in your life, right? And it's really important for you to understand that prosperity is a mindset, because you could be of the belief that, okay, well, I'm having money problems, so let me save more money. Let me start to invest. Let me do some of these external things to generate more money. And while those things can generate more money, it won't do anything, in a long term to transform your prosperity, because if you're not thinking prosperous thoughts, you can't manifest prosperity on a consistent basis, right? So you might be able to save more money, start to invest and do some of the external stuff, but your prosperity will fluctuate. Sometimes you'll be in a place where you can get everything you need. You have all the money you need and you want to do what you need and what you want to do with your life. And then sometimes, it just won't be there. You'll have this fluctuation happening in your life, this roller coaster with your money. And when you're prosperous, when you're operating from prosperity, there's a consistent flow. Do you still hit bumps in the road? Yeah, but they don't knock you off the way that they would if you're not operating from a prosperity mindset. So, talking about prosperity, we're talking about being able to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, right? Being able to take those trips, being able to help somebody else out if you want to, being able to purchase what you want to purchase, all of those things. And there's a freedom that comes along with that. There's a freedom that is a part of having prosperity in your life. And what I want you to really consider is that the ideas and the relationship that you have with money, that and if it's not a healthy relationship, if it's not a prosperous relationship, right? I want you to consider that some of those belief systems, some of those beliefs that you have about money, that you got them from childhood. I know I did. I know I did, for sure. We grew up poor. I didn't realize how poor we were until I became an adult and looked back and realized that we did without a lot of stuff. And I can pinpoint, experiences in my childhood that told me that I was unworthy because I was poor, right? And so there are a lot of beliefs that we have around money that go back to childhood. And if you grew up poor, if you grew up without, you know, with having to do without certain things in your life, we know what those things were, right? If your family, lived in public housing, if you were on public assistance, yeah, food stamps, we were on food stamps. And I'm telling you right now, I hated that mess. I hated it. And it planted beliefs in me about myself, about my worthiness that I had to work through as an adult. And I'm saying all this to say that the if you have an unhealthy relationship with money as an adult, it behooves you to examine where they came from and to look at, whether the origin of those beliefs happened in your childhood. And the book helps you to do a good job of making that correlation, because if you don't, if you have belief systems that are rooted in childhood that still guide the way that you are moving in your adulthood, then there are, I'm sorry, someone was at the door and I'm being distracted because I'm being nosy. Okay, so if there are belief system in your adulthood that have their origin in childhood, right? But you haven't questioned them. You haven't, you don't know, you did not know to question them. You did not know where they came from. But they're keeping you stuck in lack and limitation. They're keeping you believing that, you're not good enough to have more. Then the book helps you to make that correlation, and it helps you to hold those beliefs up to the light so that you can see where they really came from, so that you can see the truth about them, that they don't define you, that you can let them go and replace them with something better, right? Really, 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 really powerful for you to make that correlation, because one of the things that I had to admit to myself was, growing up poor, you learn some important things. Like I learned how to make grits grocery, y'all. Like I can go to the cupboard and have very few things in there and make a nice meal for my family, right? I learned how to do that. I learned how to survive. I learned how to be resourceful. But what I also had to admit to myself was I also internalized the limited beliefs that come from living in poverty. I also internalized a scarcity mindset. I also internalized a poverty mentality, because just as prosperity is a mindset, poverty is also a mindset. And if you don't change it, you'll continuously manifest, you know, poverty conditions in your life without really understanding why. And see, a lot of us who grew up poor, some of us went off to college and we got, the good government job, and we elevated our zip code, right? But if you don't change your mindset, you could be living in better circumstances, but still operating from lack and limitation, still operating from a scarcity mindset, still afraid that you won't have enough. And fear is powerful. When you're afraid that you won't have enough, guess what? You won't, because that's what you're manifesting. Iyanla Vanzant is a perfect example, and I love that she's so transparent with her journey. This lady is healing a lot of people. So Iyanla grew up poor. Her family, she lived in Brooklyn. Her family was in public assistance. They were on welfare, that sort of thing, right? And she said that they always ran out of money, out of food stamps, what they needed before the month ran out. So there was always, like, several days towards the end of the month where they had to do without, right? Before they, and then when the first of the month rolled around, their suppliers were replenished. They got more food stamps, they got more, whatever it is that the government provided. But what Iyanla says she didn't realize is that she took that not enough mentality, that belief system that you got to run out first before you get more. She took it into adulthood. So here she was, a successful author, having her own show, a millionaire, but still believing that she had to use up all of that money before she got more, because she had not made the correlation between this childhood belief about a scarcity mindset and the way that it was manifested in her life as an adult. Well, sis has healed all of that up, and she's living truly from a prosperous mindset, true prosperity, because everything is in alignment. But hers is a really, really, really powerful example of examining your childhood beliefs about money, and determining whether those beliefs are still showing up in your adult life, and then doing the work to transform them. The book does a really good job of helping you to examine that. You also want to examine your beliefs about rich people. Do you have like judgments about rich people? Do you assume that all rich people are crooks? That that they think that they're all that, they think that if you think like that, you'll never be a rich person. Let me just say this to you. There are wonderful people in every socioeconomic level: poor, middle class, and rich, and wealthy, and whatever the categories are. There are also some knuckleheads in every socioeconomic level. There are some knuckleheads who are poor. There are some knuckleheads who are middle class. There are some knuckleheads who are rich and wealthy, right? The amount of money that a person has does not determine their quality. They determine their quality. They determine their character. The money doesn't. What money does is it like it shows you more of who you are. When people get rich, if they are, they treat other people horribly. They treat other people horribly when they were poor too. The money didn't make them start to treat people horribly. Okay, so I'm saying all that to say, examine whether you judge rich people or not, and you make the assumption that because somebody has a lot of money that there's something wrong with them, that they are crooked, that they are negative, to whatever degree, right? Because that doesn't make sense, right? When you grow up poor, you may have learned from your parents, from the people around you, based on the comments that they've made about people who have more money, that that it's okay to judge them. And if you are planning to embrace a pure, potent, palpable prosperity mindset and manifest prosperity in your life, and you want to be rich, you want to have a whole bunch of money, you got to do away with those negative mindsets, because the person that you're really judging, you think you're judging this rich person that you're calling, negative. You're really judging yourself, and you're really placing limits on yourself, because how can you become something that you despise? How can you become something that you dislike, or that you're judging? Do that work around people with money, because that will set you free. Homework. Okay, so what did I say here? I want you to think about, okay, if you have a savings account, I want you to think about how you label your savings account. Do you have a rainy day account? I have a rainy day account. I have an emergency account, because words are powerful. Thoughts are powerful. So if you have a rainy day account, guess what you will definitely have? Some rainy days. If you have an emergency account, guess what you will definitely have? Emergency after emergency, right? That same money that's in your savings account can be labeled as something different. What about an opportunity account? What about a dream account? Or if you have to save for something specific like replacing your roof, call it that, the roof replacement account, instead of it being an emergency account. Okay? Because what you call it is what it becomes. What you call it is what it becomes. Something as simple as that. Have a dream account, have a vacation account, have a fun account, have a shopping account. You can call your savings account whatever you want to call it. And if you've already done the work in these first 5 chapters, honey, you are ready to call your savings account something beautiful. Calling you up. My son has an abundance account, because we've done this work. We've talked about it. He has an abundance account. What he can do with that abundance account is unlimited, right? Words are powerful, thoughts are even more powerful. Here's the book. If you don't already have it, go to my website, theinstituteforworthyliving.com, to order your copy. It's only $14.95. And when you order from the website, you get an autographed copy. Best $14.95 that you can spend this year, child. Yes, it is. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you more than you realize. And you guys are such a blessing to me. Have an amazing day. I love y'all. Peace.